Okay. All right, good evening. Welcome to the master class. So last week we talked about the 7 dhatus, the 7 different layers of tissues that we have throughout the body that we recognize in Ayurveda. And we talked about depletion. Like what happens when you're depleted? How does it show up in the tissues? So that was last week. This week, there's other things that could happen with your tissues. You can have an overabundance. So what if your lifestyle choices are you overindulge in food, you overindulge in your lifestyle. So you're not participating in a lifestyle that really is very supportive for your health. So what happens? Like it's going to either cause what we call a depletion issue, which we went over last week, or it can cause an excess. So today we're going to talk about what it looks like when there's an excess in the tissues. And I'm also going to go over what it looks like when those tissues are balanced. So, I mean, I know I could have included all of this in the same talk, but it's a lot and it would have taken up too much time. So I'm trying to do smaller talks. All right. So the first tissue that we talked about last week was the plasma. And remember, when it's depleted, it's going to be, you're going to have dehydration. You're going to have a whole bunch of issues, little symptoms that start showing up. And so this is why we pay attention in Ayurveda to every little symptom, because it matters. It matters. It's telling you what's going on in your body. So we're looking at excess. When there's an excess in the plasma, it'll show up as too much saliva, too much phlegm or mucus. You'll have like blockage. So we say blocked channels. Channels throughout the body are how everything moves. So you have energy channels, you have channels through your anatomy that move. And what happens is stagnation starts to accumulate. So in other words, toxins. When your body digests nutrients and they go through these different tissues, it's going to feed those tissues. And then there is a certain amount of waste that happens as it processes. So it's just like when you eat your food and you eliminate at the end, right? You urinate or you eliminate your stool. Okay, so that happens through these different layers of the tissues. And if you have excess, if you're not eating the right kinds of foods and it's blocking your channels, that means that you're accumulating a lot more waste at the level of the plasma. So waste then starts showing up, and that's considered a kapha imbalance at this level, okay? So the other thing that happens is you'll have loss of appetite. And everybody right now is doing all the trendy thing, which is the intermittent fasting and all of that. And there is an appropriate time to do those things. But I have got clients who are dealing with depletion issues doing fasting, and you never, ever, ever fast when you have depletion going on. Excess is a little bit different, but it's very individualized when you do that kind of stuff. So loss of appetite, nausea, which is very hand in hand with loss of appetite. You have blockage. Nothing can move. So it's going to cause like, oh, I just don't even feel like eating. Okay. And then you also have just weight gain. So that can happen. Just what we call an increase of kapha, fluid, water, and earth, right? Okay. So when your plasma is healthy, though, this is what it looks like. You have good complexion, you have healthy hair, and you have vitality, you have compassion, and you're happy, right? So our moods very much are letting us know what's going on with our anatomy. So when your body's not well, it's hard to be happy, okay? So that's the plasma. Moving on to the blood. So when there is a depletion with blood, remember blood is connected to the pitta, fire element. Okay, so when you have an excess, too much, an excess, That's going to show up as skin disease. It's going to show up as abscesses, liver or spleen enlargement. So you literally have soreness in the liver and the spleen. Hypertension, tumors, delirium, poor digestion, jaundice, right? You turn yellow. That anytime there's color, that's pitta. That's the fire element. Burning sensation, anytime there's burning, that's pitta. That's the fire element showing up as a symptom. Infections as well. Okay. So also bleeding, redness in the skin, eyes, or urine. Okay. So there's too much. There's an excess and it's showing up in the blood. Okay. How the blood, when it's healthy, what does it look like? It means you have good color in your cheeks, your hands, your feet, your lips, your tongue, and your eyes are vibrant. Okay. Warm skin, and you're vital yet sensitive to the sun and heat and passion. Okay. So they're more even. They're not extreme. Okay. All right. So we're looking at the muscle tissue now. Muscle tissue, when there's an excess, you're also going to have enlargement of the liver, swelling, tumors in the muscle sites, heaviness and swelling of the glands, overweight, obesity, so building of tissue, irritability, aggression, fibroids, miscarriages, low sexual vitality. Okay, so that's when it's affecting the muscle tissue. There's an excess. And when it's healthy, when your muscle tissue is healthy, this is how it shows up. You're able to exercise, you're strong, you're adaptable, you have a well-developed neck, shoulder, thigh muscles, you have courage, integrity, fortitude, and a strong character. That sounds pretty good to me. That's definitely the fire element right there. The next tissue is our fat tissue. So when there's an excess, obviously it's going to show up as obesity or overweight. There's a lack of movement. So lack of mobility. You can't move when there's an excess. It's harder to move around. Fatigue, asthma, sexual debility, thirst, diabetes, shortened lifespan, hypertension, breast sagging at belly and thighs, emotionally, there's fear and attachment. Okay, so that is when you have too much, there's an excess in the fat tissue. Hoarders, that's part of what happens. They start hoarding, they get attached. Can't let go of anything. What does that tissue look like when it's healthy? Well, it's lubricating, lubricates all your tissues. It lubricates it's lubricating for your hair, for your eyes. You have really healthy feces. So it comes out nice and healthy, logs, ample body fat, but not excessive. And you have a lovely voice and loving, joyful, you're humorous and affectionate. Oh, that's so nice. I think we all need a little fat. It gives us a little softness. Okay, the next tissue is your bone. And by the way, the bone is connected to the air element, okay? So when there is an excess, it's going to show, so too much, to an excess. So that means it's going to show up as bone spurs, extra bones and teeth, extra large frame, joint pain, low stamina, anxiety, arthritis, bone cancer. And also, if there's an extreme case, it can be what they call gigantism. Okay. When that tissue is healthy, when the bone tissue is healthy, you have large joints, prominent bones, flexibility, long feet, large, strong, white teeth. You have patience, you're consistent, you're stable, and you're hardworking. Yes. Okay. The marrow, which relates to the nervous system, and that's also air. It's ruled by air. When there's an excess, It's usually going to affect your limbs, eyes, joint, heaviness. It's going to cause deep non-healing sores, cloudy eyes, and infections. Okay. When that tissue is healthy, it's going to show up as strong joints, clear eyes, good speech. You're able to withstand pain, so you have a really high threshold for pain. Sharp, clear, sensitive mind with a good memory. You're open, you have good feeling, compassion, and you're receptive. That sounds pretty great. So that's the nervous system. So a lot of people have instability in the nervous system. I see a lot of people with that. They have a lot of anxiety. So when you don't have that, you feel very clear and stable, and your nervous system is calm. Okay. All right. The last one is the reproductive system. If there's an excess, you have an excess of sexual desire that leads to anger, an excess in semen stones, which I've not actually had a client that's had that, swollen prostate. Okay, so that's an excess. And by the way, we have definite things that we do for that to support that. One of the things that they say is important is to massage the prostate. So men should be doing that. Okay. And healthy reproductive system shows up as attractive body, lustrous eyes, good hair growth, well-formed sexual organs, charm, loving, compassionate, empathetic, excess process productive kapha. So, and then there's also deficiencies produce the vayu in vata. So it's excess produces kapha, deficiencies affect vata. Okay, that's just what it's saying for the healthy. Anyway, so, and then after that, the final last thing is your ojas, your vital reserves. And that is a whole nother topic. But below all of the tissues is your ojas. And that's why in Ayurveda, we always talk about how extremely important it is to keep your vital reserves strong, because nutrients have to feed all those other tissues first that we just went through before it can fill you up. So if you feel like your tank is empty, your vital reserves are depleted, you have to really be consistent and diligent about bringing in healthy food and a healthy lifestyle, because all those other tissues need to become healthy first so that you can then fill your vital reserve tank. Okay. All right. So that's our talk for tonight. Hopefully it was helpful. All right, let's move on and do a nice, wonderful evening practice.